chat with Glendora, a show for living right. A chat with Glendora makes your day so bright. Words of inspiration, jokes to make you smile. Come relax and chat with Glendora for a while.
Well, good news, everybody. This is Tuesday, the 23rd day of March, the 21st year of the century 2000. The good news is that a long time ago, 25, 30 years ago, a man named McCormick made a lot of money in the nursing homes, and he and his wife lived a very rich life financially. Jewelry from Tiffany and a grand piano for $250,000. A Steinway, a $500,000 home, or is it $5 million? I think it's $5 million. In wealthy suburb of New York City. And Mr. Cormick was wined and dined by White and Case lawsuit and by Bankers Trust, a bank that was declared fraudulent and out of business, taken over by Deutsche Bank, and by the Westchester County Surrogate Court. So he was robbed by the judges and the lawyers and the bankers. And I'm sure that he died thinking that all of these people were friends and were going to take good care of his wife Susan. Well, it didn't happen. Let's say the estimated sum was $26 million and Susan didn't get any of it. Who took it all? White and Case, the Westchester County Surrogate Court, Probate Court, and Bankers Trust. Nobody could stop him. Suzanne her money was taken for fake attorney fees. They stole everything they could. She was fragile, and she was a grand piano. She was a concert pianist. We have a video of her playing Grieg's piano concerto. Magnificent work. She was a graduate of Juilliard. This story came to me over a decade ago, and over a decade ago I've been trying to help them. There's nothing you can do with the courts. They're too crooked, or with the banks, or with the lawyers. They're all too crooked. There's nothing you can do with them. They saw the money and they stole it, that's all. And it happens all the time in surrogate court. It happens all the time. And the record's right there for you to see. Just go look up the record. And in between all the lies, or among all the lies, you can see how they stole money from one inheritor after another. Huge, huge fortunes lost. And it's a sure thing that if you go to the Westchester County Surrogate Court, that it's going to happen that way. They see the money. I would like to know who's behind it all. It's not the judges, they're out front. They're covering up. It's not the lawyers. They aren't the big fraud. Or the bankers. There's somebody else behind this whole racket. It's like the housing scheme. The scheme of taking people's houses away from them. It's a ring. Well, getting on with the story, I tried to help him in the courts. But that's just impossible. There's nothing you can do there. So the next thing was try to get them exposure on the media. And her helper is Patrick, and these two people are almost impossible to move. It takes them forever to do anything. Forever. They just don't get their work done. And I tried 2-3 years ago to interview Suzanne, get the story over the telephone. Glendora, the camera was on Glendora, and Suzanne was on the telephone. And I spent, 5 or 6 weeks on that, 2 hours at a time, getting this story, and they did nothing with it. Nothing. They wouldn't complete it, they wouldn't consummate it. And I said then, I'm not going to try to do anything more for her. But I couldn't help it.
12 o'clock p.m.
12 o'clock alarm.
12 o'clock.
Thank you, Bertie.
12 o'clock.
So I picked it up a year and a half ago, and I sent Suzanne a JVC camcorder. I sent her a tripod.
12 o'clock p.m.
Hey, there's another birdie. The Baltimore Oriole?
12 o'clock p.m. 12 o'clock p.m.
And I sent her an SD card.
12 o'clock p.m.
And I went through
12 o'clock p.m.
many sessions of,
12 o'clock p.m.
all you had to do, Suzanne, was to sit in front of the camcorder, make believe that Glendora's over at the lens, and you're looking through that camcorder at Glendora, and you're talking to her, and you're telling her these horrible things that these agencies did to her. Well, it worked. It shouldn't have taken a year and a half, it should have taken 2 weeks. But through their discouragements and all, they finally did 13 programs, approximately 27 minutes, and told the story. And told it very bravely. And Victoria said that Suzanne did a good job on the presentation. Now, after all that, yesterday it appears on the YouTube, finally. Thank you, Victoria, for getting it up there on YouTube. We will start getting it onto the TV stations, the 75 TV stations from Boston to San Diego. I think we will try to do that in the next set of programs, which will be, let's see, we just finished June and July. I guess we'll try to get it on the TV stations in August and September. And then the third step is for Victoria to make one of her grand documentaries in which she is very skilled, in which she is trained. She has a master's degree in video communications from the Rensselaer Polytech in Troy, where she lives. Isn't that exciting? Now, I told it to you poorly, I'm sorry, but what a triumph yesterday when that showed up on YouTube. Victoria put it up Sunday night. And Patrick and Suzanne were, Patrick turned on the TV, and he said, Suzanne, come quickly. And there it was. And they liked it. And they said, oh, it came out very well, and you should have heard them fret and exercise over, their fear that it wasn't going to be good. But Victoria says it's very good. I would like to see it. My eyesight didn't last long enough for that. but I would love to see it. So that's a great triumph for Sunday night, March the 21st. We are now into the third or fourth day of spring. We are so happy about that, but at the same time, we miss our winter. And you know, folks, we've got to go through and count our blessings for the winter. All the good things that happen in the winter from December 21st to March the 20th. Okay. Bad news. The cataract doctor canceled the appointment to look at the eyes and decide if anything could be done about the cataracts. Glendora said she wanted to know why the doctor canceled them. Well, they never heard of anybody saying it. Why did he cancel? Did he have a good reason? Did he have a good excuse? And then Glendora said, I'm going to charge you $25 for that, just the way you charge us $25 if we cancel. Well, it was a blast. And maybe Glendora, it was inadvisable. So what do we do, folks? And after Glendora was so bad to them over the phone, Madeline called up and rescheduled another appointment. And that is scheduled for April 2nd, which is only one day after April Fool's Day. So he let that go, or shall we just today get a list of cataract doctors and make a new one? Or call up someone and say, if you get a cancellation, call us. What do you want to do about that, folks? And poor darling Wayne stayed home all day waiting for the telephone to ring, and it never rang all day. He's waiting for an appointment for this shot in the arm for the virus. Are you going to have one? People keep asking Glendora. And Glendora says maybe, but really I don't think Glendora is going to go for it. I know Esther isn't. Esther Raphael. She's the power of attorney. Bad news. The 4 beautiful video programs, A Chat with Glendora, that were sent to Robert Jansen by Victoria, only one of them played on his computer. I don't even think that happened. I think it played on a regular CD, DVD player, but I don't think it. So those will have to be done over. Victoria, are you sure? Victoria Troy, are you sure that you made 4 half-hour programs on an SD card, one for QPTV Queens and one for Albany Bethlehem? Are you sure you did that and posted them? I've got to see proof of that, honey. I could call them both up, Albany, Bethlehem, and QPTV, and see if they got them. For what? For April, May. And you, dear Patricia, Nichols, you gave up your personal time, money, and energy to drive all the way to Kinderhook and take the Kinderhook TV station. I would say 4 from 10 is 6, and how many in each one? 20. I would say around 50, 60, 70 maybe shows for the rest of March, this week and the half a week next week of March, and April, March and April, May and June, I think. No, that's not right, Lynn. Rest of March. And then April, May, and then June and July. Yes. And Victoria, what a great job you did counting those out and scheduling them and dating them and wrapping them and addressing them. And what a great job you did, Pat, again, going all the way down to Kinderhook, all the way down Route 9, and handing them into the Kinderhook station, Brian McComb. Folks, we have to stop this separation between ourselves and God. God is not a he, God is not a she, God is not an it, God is God. And that's all God is. And you know, and the practitioners on the Sentinel radio show say, well, God told me this, or I told God that, and I heard God say, that's not it. That's separate. You know you are not separate from God. God didn't tell you anything, and you didn't tell God anything. It's a process. It's a living. It's a thing that is happening. For instance, take the word love. God is love. Love is God. Take that word. Do you talk to love? Does love talk to you? No. You live love. You live it. The whole universe lives it. We're all together. We're all one. You live it. I can't explain it. I've never been able to, but I hope you get the idea. And will you think about it and see if you can articulate it? We are already reading page 56 or 66 of Christian Healer, a biography of Mary Baker Eddy. And we're up to the point where her husband, it would be her second husband, Patterson, eloped or went off with somebody else again. She took him back the first time he did it. Then the second time she wouldn't. She would not take him back. And I guess she didn't divorce him, but for 4 or 5, maybe 7 years or something like that. And he promised before they were married that he would take care of her son by her first husband. Her son who'd been taken away from her on the premise that she was too frail and too invalid to take care of the son. But after they got married, Patterson copped out. And he wouldn't let the son live with him. What a terrible way to treat somebody. When all is said and done, the only thing that really matters is how did you treat others. When all is said and done, the only thing that really matters is how did you treat others. And so we're up to the year when she had the great discovery. And it's really never quite clear what she discovered, I don't think. She had this afflatus, this grand, overwhelming, supernatural impulse. She herself, I really don't think, really understood what it was either. That showed her that life is really spiritual. You know, that you're one with God as a spirit. You're not one with God as a physical something over here and a physical something over here. It's back to that thing I just was talking about. That you won. And it's a process and it's a life. And she does tell you some things about when she was healing somebody. She would, I think she saw. They're always talking about seeing the patient as perfect, because this patient is some of God, right? And she sees it perfect. And then she prays. And then the patient is healed, and healed permanently. I don't know. Would you think about it and tell me, please? Alrighty. What else went on yesterday? In my little helper yesterday, she just isn't made for this kind of work, and she doesn't do it well, and she's very, very slow, and yet she's getting paid on the highest, one of the higher levels, which is $80, which is $16 an hour. No, 15. No, I think it is 16. We should go to the top performers, and she just doesn't have it, and I don't have the meanness to say, I think you ought to go get another job, or I think somebody should take your place, or something like that. But Glendora, she enabled the Glendora program, the ship, to stay afloat yesterday, and she did get all the work done, even though she had to work 2 hours overtime, no pay to do it. And I did not treat her right, and I am wrong, and I have to atone for that. Yesterday, Monday, March 22nd, what had happened? You did get to all the work done? Yes, everything's done. Oh, I know. Very interesting conversation with the person who handles the spin down for Rensselaer County Medicaid. You remember what the spend down is? Glendora's income is $2,600 a month, and the maximum that Medicaid will allow a person to make is $880, and you subtract $880 from the income, and you get a spend down, and you have to spend that much every month to have Medicaid treatment. But the nice thing to do it, if you spend, and what is my spend down? Let's call it, it's really $1,450, let's call it $1,500. If I spend $1,500 a month on health things, health expenditures, Medicaid will pay all of the medical bills. And to do this, you have to hand your money over, $1,500 a month, to a trust, and mine is called New York State ARC, A-R-C. And you hand over all that money, $1,500, and you give them your credit card statement, and then they keep the accounting and see that you have paid this $1,500 every month, and therefore every month of your life you are entitled to Medicaid paying all your medical bills. Is that right? I think so, folks. But I found out from Kelly when I asked about the room rent, which is amounted now to $975 more above the $5,600. No, the 26 above the 2,600 income, that they don't do that since the virus thing started a year ago. A year and 2-3 weeks ago. Since that started, they're not changing any figures. So I don't have to be accountable for that $975 until I hear from them again. Sarah has decided to stay as my social worker. And is Glendora going to decide to take the Medicaid offer level 1 of only, what is it, $300? Is it only $300 a week for, and 8 hours a week for? There's a fraud there, I think. If you hire it through an agency, if Medicaid will pay an agency $29 when Glendora can find a helper for $16, that is not right. That's a ripoff, through and through. So we turn it down. But the day will come, probably, when it will cost $29 for a helper, a home helper. Okay, you figure that one out for me? You've got 3 assignments now, okay? Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine, heir of salvation, purchase of God, born of the Spirit, washed in His blood. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. Let's go back to the book of James, the New Testament, chapter 1, verse 22. Walk the way instead of just talking it. Are we guilty of that, folks? Are we just talking it and not walking it? Yes, I think. When you go back to this oneness thing, when you say, God told me this, and I said this to God, and so forth, when you go back to that separation, you are talking it. You are not walking it. You are not living it. You are not being it. You are not the process. Good, that ties in very, very well.